Hey, thank you for tuning in on this video, and it's amazing to be on this platform speaking with you. We are on the series of the seasons of marriage: summer, spring, winter, and autumn. And we are presently on the summer season, the season of new beginnings, of fresh starts, of blooming flowers. And I have an amazing guest today, a couple who are happily married. I always tell you that happily ever after exists, but not without challenges. And I always say I'll bring people here, bring friends up on this channel, bring friends up on this platform, real life people that are gonna be real with us, going to be truthful about what is working and what they are doing about things that are not working to make marriage work. And today I have David and Hannah. I'll be adding them on stage right now. If you just tuned up to this video, tuned into this live, I please would say don't zoom off, don't scroll away, just keep watching. So I would add David and Hannah on stage now. Drum rolls.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi,
Hi.
David. Hi, Hannah.
Hello.
Thank you for coming online with us. How are you doing?
We're well, thank you.
Yes.
So nice to see you guys. What's been happening to you guys? You want to tell us about yourself? I know a bit about you, but for people that will be live on this video, that will come up live later, or that watch the replay, just for us to know a little bit about you. Just tell us about you, as much as you want us to know about you.
Well, I guess I start. Yeah, my name is David. I am 32 years old. I am from Ecuador in South America. Very beautiful country. But obviously I now live in the UK. We live in Bournemouth. We go to Citygate Church. This is where we met Mabel. Work-wise, I work for the probation service and I do training on systems, IT systems, essentially, for new staff. Something I very much enjoy. Yeah.
So I'm Hannah. I am 29 years old. I'm originally from the Philippines, moved to the UK when I was 8 years old. So been here for 21 years now. And I used to work for Citygate Church. So actually taught Mabel's children for a few years, which has been really lovely. But I am now working for a charity called the RNLI. RNLI stands for the Royal National Lifeboat Institute. I work as their regional volunteering advisor, which in a nutshell, it means that within the region of the Southeast, I provide advice for managers who manage volunteers. So I do my best to be a blessing there. And I'm also very much enjoying it too.
Beautiful. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, David. It's so amazing to have you here. You want to tell us about, how long have you been married?
So we have been married since the 4th of November 2020. So we were a lockdown wedding. We celebrated our 4th year anniversary in London a few weeks ago, which has been really lovely. So yeah, how we got married was it's a big story.
we want to hear that story. We want to hear that story. How you got married, how long you've known yourself.
Yeah. So
the story.
We got engaged in 2019. I just started working at Citygate. David was working at a church at a time. And obviously we were very excited. I just finished university and David proposed and it was really beautiful. And yeah, we wanted a shorter engagement period. So we were meant to get married in September 2020, but then lockdown hit and we thought, oh my word, how's this all going to work out? Long story short, we had to move our wedding 3 times. So we moved from September 2020 to March 2021, and then down to the end of November 2020. And then when we were getting ready for the actual day, when we were only a few weeks in, the Prime Minister at the time, Boris Johnson, then said, right, we're going to go on to our second national lockdown. And we were just like, it was really difficult for us. But actually, Citygate Church, and it's not just because I was part of the staff at the time, but they were genuinely extremely, like, they just made everything happen for us. And, you know, it was a hard decision because David's family couldn't be there in person. They joined us on Zoom. My family was able to, but only for a couple of hours. And we obviously weren't living together, so we had to find a flat. And literally we moved and replanned our wedding in 3 days. We got married on a Wednesday night. We decided to get married and change it on the Sunday night. And it all just happened. And our whole flat is just God's generosity, the church's generosity. So it got completely kitted out because of the church and God's goodness. So we're very, very blessed.
Amazing. That's a beautiful story. So how long were you friends, or before you got married, or you just proposed, or how was the relationship before marriage came in? I'm interested in that gist.
So we both went to Bible college, where we were there for a year. So she was in her first year, I was in my third year, you know, finishing my degree at Bible college.
That goes way back.
Yeah, back in 2016, I think. Yeah, 2016.
Well done. 2016, yeah.
And we became friends, you know, a few weeks into Hannah first starting at Moorlands. I just remember seeing her around and thinking, oh, well, she's very pretty, but she was very much out there, as you know, she's got very bubbly personality.
Like the usual Hannah, I know.
Yeah, like the usual Hannah. So I thought, you know, I was like, okay, I'm not going to say anything. But then we actually, I think you approached me, didn't you?
Yeah.
And then we started chatting, and it didn't actually take us long. I think we were going out officially. So we met probably October time. And then we were officially dating, I guess, in January of 2017. So really we were together for about 3 years. We were both together 3 years until I proposed. And then we got married about 11 months after the proposal, I guess.
Yeah. So when were you sure that this is going to be my wife? When did you make that decision?
I remember meeting with my mentor at that time, and he would tell me, because I was like wondering, you know, is she the right girl? Is she not? I really love her, and I can see myself marrying her. But I really, you know, I was kind of looking for that answer from God, you know, written in the skies type of thing. And my mentor said to me, you know, sometimes we need to take a risk, and God will be with us in that risk. And, you know, there is that kind of possibility that things can go wrong, but also things can go absolutely right. And, you know, God will bless you through that. And I can definitely see that, you know, meeting Hannah and getting married to her has been an absolute blessing. So I was like, and then he was like, but he basically asked me, you know, do you see yourself marrying her? And I said, yeah, absolutely. So then he was like, then why are you waiting? So that was that. But also we had an older couple who we met once because we were seeking for wisdom. Again, this is before we got married, actually the summer before we got married. And I can't even remember what they said, but I just remember they had a lot of wisdom for us when it came to marriage, like the realities of it, but also how beautiful it is. And I think I just felt really encouraged. And this older couple prayed for us, but also they were praying for me, for my heart and where I was at that point. And so, yeah, just kind of, I was just convinced. So by the time I proposed to Hannah, I was like, yeah, I was so sure that I wanted to marry her.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I think for me, I was very much probably a month in, I knew. I
the ladies know first, really.
I think I remember I gave a list to the Lord, and I had difficult relationships beforehand, and it was, some of them were really, really difficult. And I actually went into Bible college, and a few weeks in, I was like, Lord, I'm going to be single throughout the whole degree. I'm not looking for someone. It's not going to happen. And then he walks in. Extremely handsome.
That was like an answer to your rant.
But also I so admired just his love for the gospel, his love for people, his pastoral heart. Personality wise, it was different to me. I'm more of an external processor. David's definitely more of an internal processor, and but there was that difference between us that really attracted me to him, and he struck me as someone who was very mature and confident in the Lord, in himself. So and also that list in David, it just, all of it was ticked, and I was like, well, thank you, Lord, that's great. I didn't plan to do this, but so for me, I was fairly sure. And I think as the more I prayed about it, I felt I was seeing confirmations from small things, like even just my parents being very open to seeing him for my birthday. That was a big thing. And small stuff like that for me was real confirmation that it was from God.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Now I want to ask, who said I love you first? Yeah, just want to know who was more outspoken about it. I can guess.
Yeah, very, very much me. Yeah, I don't remember.
How did you feel about that, David? Did it kind of align with what you had in mind already? So it didn't come as a surprise. You already made up your mind before that happened, right?
From what I can remember, it didn't really come as a surprise, but I think so. I'm much slower at processing my emotions than Hannah is. So as you probably gathered already, she knows how she feels very quickly. I'm very different, so I probably just felt confused at that point. No, I knew I had feelings for her, absolutely. So I knew that. I just didn't say the words as quick as you did.
Yeah, and that was
it didn't
fine.
take me long though.
It wasn't like I was waiting forever and I was like, look at my clock, like, come on. But like, it was important for me that he, I knew he felt the same way, but like I had the patience for him to work out what that meant in his head, like really mean. And that's one of the things I love about David, is that once he's processed all of that and he says it, he thoroughly really means it. And there's real integrity in that.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Hannah. I liked that. I like that. Taking your time, and then when he says it, you're sure it comes from a place of integrity, and you can hold him to his words. Thank you. So do you guys want to tell us about, as you're married, going these days? How would you say the past 4 years has been? how would you say it's been? How has the roller coaster been? Are you feeling all happy about it? About the phase it's been? What are some of the things that makes you feel connected? You just want to chat with us about that?
Sure.
Yeah, I genuinely do think marriage is going great. Obviously, as you pointed out, it is a roller coaster. Mostly because, yes, we do have our disagreements. Yes, we have our arguments, but we've never had anything that made us that have, I guess, pull us apart in any way. So every time we've had kind of a disagreement or an argument, we've always been very good at kind of piecing things together and then, just being good afterwards. And yeah, I think a good sign of that our marriage is going well or is healthy is that, Hannah sometimes has to travel for work. So I really miss her when she's not around. I guess it would be a bad thing if it was the other way around.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, no, it's going well. I mean, you probably gathered this as well. We're also very different in how we see the world.
Not how we see the world, but in terms of personality.
Yeah, I guess personalities with various different things like conflict, processing emotions, how we deal with conflict. Not so much with us, but maybe other people. We're very different. So naturally, we're going to have some clashes just because of who we are. But yeah, we navigate those things well, I guess.
Yeah, I think we do. And one of the things I love, even when we were just dating, was our desire to handle and understand how to conflict well. I grew up with a family that kind of either swept things under the rug and pretended everything was okay, or you're walking on eggshells and you're not entirely sure how to navigate the conflict around you. And for you grew up with, different kinds of, I don't want to speak for you, but just different kinds of parents. So David's dad just not being there or just not speaking to him. Those kind of things those were our cultures and backgrounds, and we were very aware of how it could impact something as beautiful as our relationship. So from the beginning, nailing that communication and saying how we feel, and allow and respecting each other's differences has been a really big thing for us. And over our marriage, I think we've done our best to hone down understanding our differences, but still creating a way for us to still work through that. So for example, when it comes to, so I'm very much, I want to just, if I see a problem, let's just get on with it. Let's talk it out. David's very much, there's a problem. I need to sit and just understand how all of that works.
Time.
And before, I'd be like, come on, let's just chat about it. I'd be pestering him about it. And whereas David will either go back and forth on what he's trying to say, or it gets heated quite quickly because we're not understanding each other and he hasn't processed it yet. And really, I haven't processed it either, even though I say I have. So actually we are learning, and I think we have gotten better at just kind of, obviously when it comes to things that just needs to be nipped in the bud, then yes, obviously let's chat about it. But having a time to just pause and say, look, we have this list called our deep and meaningful chat list, and we make sure that on a Saturday we go through our list and we say, what are we going to be talking about today? So it could be something really big to do with future, to do with finance, to do with I don't know, just things that can be quite difficult for us to talk about on a normal day-to-day life. We tell ourselves, right, we can't talk about this right now, but we'll put it on the list, and on Saturday, if we have capacity and so that we can prepare for it, that's when we chat about it. And actually we make sure that we're not at home, we'll be in a coffee shop or we're going for a walk. And it's a much more neutral place, and we've always found that really productive for us. And in that, we like also pray for each other and stuff. So I think like marriage has been amazing because we are learning and to just understand how to work with our differences. Though we are different in many different ways, I love so much of David's differences, and I hope you do too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love qualities that Hannah has that I don't, that I really admire. Definitely.
I liked the part of being the word intentional about looking for. First of all, I picked a point from what you said, understanding and respecting your differences, knowing that I'm different and David is different is how he processes things, and respecting it too. So it's one thing to understand, it's one thing to respect. And I also liked the part that you guys can take out time to, you said sometime once in a week on Saturdays, and then you talk about those major issues or major things that you might not find time to talk about on your day-to-day routine, and say, oh, let's talk about this, what's the future. And it just points to me that you're creating time to be productive about your marriage. It's what we give time to that really works. So that's really, really very inspiring. Thank you so much. So would you want to tell us about, maybe you've already shared, I think you've touched on it, but about something that you guys have teamed up to do, to accomplish something together, how it's played out, and how it made you feel at the end of the day. Sometimes when you remember those, those accomplishments or those achievements, and those are some things that help strengthen your marriage at some point. If you have anyone to share with us really quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking of our life group. So we lead a life group at church, and we've been leading this life group for over a year now.
Over a year, nearly 3 years.
Yeah. So for context, life group is more like the small groups, cell groups that you have in church.
Yeah.
So yeah,
2 and a bit years.
I think it's coming up to 2 years or so. Yeah, but yeah, yeah. So again, just gonna point out that Hannah has very good qualities that I don't, and I have some qualities that she doesn't. The qualities that she has, I very much admire and respect.
That's how you complement.
And one of those things is, again, her pastoral. I guess not so much pastoral, but the caring. She cares a lot for people. She cares and she looks after people so well. And that, which is really key when you lead in a life group, when people perhaps are coming to you with issues or problems. She's very understanding in that. And I guess I can bring structure. I guess the more practical things, that's what I'm good at. And so combining those things, and Hannah's also very good at the detail. So you'll probably notice this when she speaks as well. She talks, she gives a lot of details. I don't know, very much stay to the point.
Summarize.
Yeah. So I think Life Group has been a very good example where we have come together, we team up, we just kind of carry this. And again, Life Group is something I very much enjoy, and I very much enjoyed doing that with Hannah. I think, it's great. Yeah,
we love it. And though we went to Bible college together, we never really did any ministry stuff together, and it was one of the things we had a heart for. But when we got married, we we took a year just to pray and think about it. And then when we actually did it, you know, when you're both passionate about something, again, like at the beginning, it definitely, you know, every time we'd plan a session, we'd be like going back and forth and arguing about like, should we do this? Should we do that? It would like be really simple things, like, you know, when it came to hosting people, and my Filipino-ness and my personality is, let's cook a meal for everyone every single Thursday, we'll do it. And David, in his gift of practicality, he's very much like, okay, how are we going to afford that?
How realistic it is. Come to reality.
It's, you know, so I so very much need David in like grounding me and helping me understand like what is realistic. And so yeah, and actually moments, like particular moments where we're kind of ministering, having ministry time, and you know, David would, I don't know, bring something up during prayer, and then we'd look at each other, and it you know, those moments where we just were on the same page. We don't have to talk to each other. We just know how it's going to work out. And it doesn't happen all the time. But in moments like that, or when you see a community in front of you and they, you know, they're all very different, but they respect and love each other, and being together facilitating that is just beautiful and such a pleasure to do. So yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I think it's another degree of love and achievement when you and your spouse are actually in a particular field together, be it business or ministry or passion or anything. I think there's just this combined effort that just, you know, brings out this different part of your harmony together. You see one person complementing the other person in stuff like, there are some things that I know David will not be able to achieve in that group that you are doing. And then it won't be the same if it's just you doing that group and David is not there. David should just be there to say, oh, hello, Hannah, come back to reality.
Maybe I'd be broke within a month.
But if you leave it for David alone, it's just going to be an all too serious, boring.
Yeah.
No, boring.
No.
But you would be like, you'd keep it
very rigid.
Yeah.
I'll be very rigid.
Very uptight. And then it will just be for a certain, you know, kind of people like David to be there with him. But just bringing you together just spices it up and makes it, you know, a whole package for everyone. It's an amazing one. I can relate to that because myself and my husband also leads a group, and I can see how it just helps our marriage. Apart from fulfilling, you know, purpose and reaching out to people, it's also impactful in our marriage. So I can really relate. I know you mentioned something about how long I'm fighting with my light here. I think back on now. Okay, so I'm hoping. Okay, so I know you mentioned something about creating a time for you and your husband on the weekend. So I just want to ask about how you and your spouse create time, you know, to talk regularly in your marriage, because I know how life can get busy. And David mentioned something like you walk outside town sometimes, you travel for work. So how do you get about, or how do you manage that route of, you know, creating time, talking regularly? How's your communication game like? You want to walk us through that?
Yeah. So Hannah mentioned that on a Saturday we get together to talk, to go through this list. So if an issue comes up, we would mention it to each other, and then we would discern whether this is something we can put in this list for a Saturday. And if this thing, issue, I don't know, situation, whatever it is is, you know, we think is very important, then yeah, we would take the time, go for a walk, go for a coffee, or maybe just a meal out or something like that to discuss this. And this kind of was created because at the beginning of our marriage, I guess Hannah something would come up, and then she would speak to me about it, and I just found that we were talking about very, very deep stuff all of the time. So
especially late at night.
Especially late at night, which then we implemented a 10 o'clock rule, and we said we're not going to talk about or even argue after 10 o'clock because it's just simply time for bed, and we're not in the right mindset. And that's also another point. So there will be times during the week when, especially me, I wouldn't have the mental or an emotional capacity to deal with some stuff or even listen to Hannah. And I knew that I wouldn't be very pleasant to be around. So that's why we decided to, so in order for us to not to forget what the thing is, so we created a list, but also it gives Hannah the reassurance that we're actually going to talk about it. Because my tendency is to just avoid it, I guess, and not to talk about it. And you know, I happily go months and weeks and months not talking about this thing. So yeah, and then that also gives Hannah the reassurance that we will be able to talk about it, that we are going to talk about it. We put it on our calendar, on our shared calendar, and we know we're going to talk about it. It also gives me time to think about the thing. So, you know, when I have 5 minutes or something, or it pops into my head, I can, start processing things. Because as I said at the beginning, it takes me some time to process things. I'm not as quick as Hannah when it comes to thinking and processing this stuff. So yeah, and obviously we've had a very, very busy summer with lots of people getting married. It's been amazing. So we haven't had so much free time to talk about these things, but we have added other perhaps evenings now to talk about this stuff. So it wouldn't necessarily happen on a Saturday because we will be away visiting people or at a wedding, but we would do, I don't know, a Tuesday, or we have our date night on a Wednesday, and then we would discuss this stuff on set days. But we always make sure that we put it on the calendar, otherwise it never happens.
Yeah. So that's the other way that we kind of talk to each other and just kind of connect is we're quite strict with our date nights on a Wednesday. So though I travel quite frequently because I look after our whole region, even during my interview, I said, look, I'm very happy to be flexible with my time. I'm used to that, working in the church, working with volunteers before. However, Wednesdays and Thursday evenings are my no-goes. I volunteer for the church on a Thursday, and my date nights with my husband are, my priority. And, they've really respected that. And so they basically said, you have our encouragement to just move things in the diary. Obviously, if it's like an absolute emergency, because I'm in HR, there could be something, and we're a rescue service, there are leeways to it, but as a principle, it's something that we really prioritize. And if at any point, I don't know, there's something else, again, a priority that might, conflict with date night, then we'll make sure that we still do it during that week, but just at a different night. But we don't do that often. Yeah. So yeah, things like that.
Do you want to talk us through that date night? I'm really interested in that. So how do you do it? Because sometimes it sounds like, we have to really plan for this. If you want to walk us through, okay, how flexible are your date nights? Like the options, where do you have to go to? Is it?
I mean, It
Yeah.
really doesn't have to be. So before, there used to be a lot of pressure on date nights having to be like this massive thing, but really it's just spending that quality time. So for example, you know, especially in the winter months, we found ourselves that just watching on the TV on date night is a no-go, because you're not actually spending quality time together. So, you know, it would be things like going for a walk by the beach, or I don't know, just gonna go out to get dessert. It doesn't have to be expensive, but the main point is just to have that quality time and to be completely present, and just be having a rule of not going on our phones. And if one of us goes on our phones, we like, you know, we bat it away and we're like, no, don't, you know, we want to be present and we want to have that connection with each other. So it's really, you know, now and again, if it's nearly someone's birthday or something fun has happened, then we'd go out for a proper meal. But, you know, it doesn't have to be major.
Our date nights are generally not expensive, so probably the most expensive we could get would be a cinema date.
Yeah,
probably that's as expensive as we make.
We did that literally on Wednesday.
Yeah. But I just like the priority you put on setting a day aside and being strict to that day and saying today, because I know when I was asking for dates on when we can do this, I'm not sure Wednesday was there, so I'm sure that was part of what you had in mind to say, okay, Wednesday is not my free day in the evenings. I already have this set up, and those are some of the boundaries that you just have to place by yourself in your marriage, and nobody's going to help you do that. If not, there will be other activities. Life itself is going to, you know, fill you up with activities and leave you with little or no time to really work on things that matter, like marriage and family. So that's a beautiful one about date night. I'm still struggling with that, really. I have to be honest, because sometimes
I think when you have kids, it becomes harder, right? I can imagine when you have kids, you know, you've got big priorities of raising children, so I can see that.
Yeah, but I think it's even more needed when the kids are there, because if not, you just find yourself being all a mama and a papa, someone's daddy, and then you have to struggle for time to say, okay, it still boils down to me and you, me and my spouse, because that's where it flows from. If the marriage is healthy, then the children are going to be taken care of. So it flows from a healthy marriage between the two spouses, and then it flows, you know, into the family. So I'm still working on that. I anytime, any opportunity I see, I just grab this, and then we have to go out. But setting that strict day aside is something I'm still looking forward to, and I'll keep working on it. Yeah, I will.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I just want us to know how you invest in your marriage. I know you've said about so many things, and just want to know some practical things, because I want our viewers to be able to pick one or two things. If it's just one thing, like so far I've picked the issue of, you know, date nights, of how I can be more strict and setting a boundary, and to say, oh, this is a day, or this is a particular time for me and my spouse to have a date, and it doesn't have to be luxury, it doesn't have to be expensive. So just want you to walk us through, or just share tips on how you invest in your marriage in any way, like books, like seminars, like practical things you do to learn more about relationships and making your marriage better.
Marriage course.
Yes, so we did the marriage course with church back in the summer.
Is that like a training? Is like an academy, a course?
It's an actual. So if you know the Alpha course, so it's the same organization that creates the Alpha course. They've come up with the marriage course. So this is
just for couples. I'm just breaking it down so that the people that are not, you know, very aware of what Alpha or what marriage course is, you just know that, oh, this is a post-marital or a course for married people.
There are two. There's the pre-marriage course, which is also done by the same organization. It's called HTB Church. And then there's the marriage course, which is obviously tailored more for married people.
So how did you find that? How was it?
We did the pre-marriage course with another couple at church,
This is
which
when
was
we were engaged.
when we were
So that was
engaged.
a while ago.
So that was really helpful, and that's where we learned about date nights. And then the marriage course we did quite recently, and that was really useful. Again, it's a lot of it is regurgitating the same sort of principles, but just helpful things. Again, things like conflict management and those kind of stuff. It's just helpful to refresh those kind of things. How else do we invest?
I was thinking of something else and I forgot now. There's a marriage course.
Mental?
Yeah, so something that actually we haven't done that lately because we've been so busy with, again, a lot of social commitments. But there have been things when we've had a few issues where we simply know that we can't fix it just us two, because we're still, I guess, fairly young, and so we seek the wisdom of older couples. So yeah, we've met with one of our elders and his wife, basically just to seek wisdom, so they can teach us or help us see a different way to fix those issues. So I think, yeah, basically.
So those are like mentors that know that, they mentor you in marriage, informally or formally. So
informally.
They're not like our mentors, but we've asked for their help, and we have the confidence that we can go back to them with more issues if they come up, or when they come up, really.
I think it's just not being afraid to reach out for help, and realizing that the more you reach out for help and ask for support, the more you can grow in your marriage. So and we're very aware and willing to just be told you're doing this wrong, or or I'd rather just know how to do it better, because it's painful when you're not seeing eye to eye, and you never ever want any resentment to build at all. So we just want to nip it in the bud as much as possible. So
amazing. Someone on the chat session says marriage is about intentionality. Yes, and this is an intentional couple here, because when I see these things, it screams people who wants to make marriage work. And then sometimes the results might not be really obvious now, but through the years you will be able to say, wow, this has been a long walk. It's been a journey of growth. But you'd actually see that these are results to the steps you've taken, to what you have put into your relationship. And then it makes the marriage get better, because you both can see that you are making this work, not one person. You can see what David is putting into it. You can see how Hannah is intentional, even when she has a tedious career or tedious job. She still makes out time to say, let's talk, let's do this, let's reach out. And one thing you said too that resonated with me is not being afraid. I think someone popped this on the comments. Yes, not being afraid to ask for help. So having a mentor in marriage or having a coach is not a sign of weakness. I think it's a sign of strength. It's saying that, I need help here. I want to make this work. And it doesn't ever get to a point in marriage where you say you don't need help, because we keep growing. Even when you get to 10 years in marriage, get to 20 years in marriage, there are always people that have walked ahead of you that will share their experiences. And even from their experiences, you will gain something. What can I do better? What am I doing better? And how can I make this better? So it's really inspiring. Those are investments, things you're investing in your marriage, and you keep seeing the results. And really, I don't want to forget this one. We're almost done. The 40 minutes gone. I didn't even know we'd get to this time, but it's been so eye-opening, most of the things you've been sharing. So I had this pen down. How do you know when your relationship is moving from the honeymoon phase. It's been 4 whole years. I'm sure there was a time you felt you were newly married, but right now it's 4 whole years. I know I still think about it that, oh, I'm still young in marriage, but sometimes I can't remember. There was a time it was a month, was a time it was a year, and now it's 4 years, So what are the early signs of, or what signs do you see that you feel that, oh, we've gotten to this next level, or this has left this level, or the spring, season of marriage, this is the next season of marriage? What are those signs for you, and how do you deal with problems before they become major issues?
I think, I guess, just thinking of what you just said about moving from one season to the other, I think we have kind of shaped each other in some ways, iron sharpens iron. So I have become a bit more like, or I try to do my best to please Hannah. Sometimes it's very, very simple ways, like putting the toilet seat down, or what, that kind of stuff. So that's very,
so important for me.
That is a
for her
pending
well,
issue.
yeah, things like just giving me, just time by myself, I guess.
Introvert time.
Introvert time. Whereas at the beginning, it was a bit more difficult. We've just come from being single, basically even how we wanted, and so moving in with somebody now, you're starting to having conflicts about, the toilet, the bathroom, that kind of stuff. Very small things which you never thought about before.
Small but big.
So I do find that we shape each other, we learn from each other. We're still very different, and as I said at the beginning, we still clash, and probably that's going to be a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
But I do find that we have shaped each other. We have learned from each other. We try to please each other and do things for each other because we now know each other better.
Yeah, I echo that. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah.
I was going to say as well, I think for me, the moment I realized, oh, we have matured, or I have matured, was when, not that you didn't mature, what I mean is matured in my thinking. I remember when we got married, the pastor who preached for us, he was talking about how, like, it's very overgeneralization, and he mentioned that, but a lot of women come into marriage and they're like, oh, I can change this man, or like I can make him a little bit more like this, or if only he's a little bit more like this and he can do this, etc. And I never went into the marriage thinking that is, that's what I'm going to do, and I don't think anyone does. But when you are when sometimes you think your way is the best way, or you just really prefer one way of doing things, or you have a set of expectations over your husband, and sometimes it doesn't match up to that really, really ridiculous high expectations that's actually for him to reach, and you realize that actually the preach that the guy was preaching on was so needed, and I really needed to hear that. And I think I remember one night, and I could feel it in my heart that I was getting not resentful, but just like getting frustrated at certain things, and it was building up in my head, and just getting really frustrated. And I remember spending some time with God and writing things down, and actually realizing, just accepting David for who he is, just David, just David, not the David I want him to be or how he should be in my head, but just
Once he is.
quirks in his everything that I actually really love about him. And actually, as soon as I did that, I just appreciated him more, and I loved him in a deeper way, and grew in patience. So and I think having the mindset of he should be doing this for me. Well, actually, no, we're just going to serve each other. Let's outserve each other. So I remember there have been times, even just small things in the household, like, oh, it's your turn to do this. Oh, I did it yesterday. Now it's your turn. We're like trying to be better at saying, actually, no, it doesn't really matter. We're serving each other. We want to do it for each other. We do it out of love. We're not keeping scores at each other. I think maybe we've definitely gotten better at that more in the past couple of years, a year and a bit, where we've recognized actually that's not nice.
So it's more of giving room for collaboration more than competition. To say, doesn't mind how many times you do this. We are doing it for each other. You bring your A game, I'm bringing my A game, and then we enjoy it together. And one thing about that you said is about making the season of your marriage to enjoy the summer season of your marriage more. Do you understand? In as much as there are challenges in marriage, I think there are so many things we'll do to make the happier days less than the unhappier days, so we can actually make merry or bring happiness into our marriage by what we do. So this last question, if you're going to talk to couples, or if you're going to talk to people that or you want to give advice to couples, what would you say, or how would you tell them to stay or make that season of their marriage, which is more romantic, which is more happier, to stay as long as possible? So what is it that you would say, maybe in one or two words, so we wrap up? How can they celebrate those little things and be happy even when things are not perfect? Because marriage is not all about perfection.
So I think I just want to echo what Hannah said. Acceptance of each other, and we're not perfect at that. We're still working on it, definitely. But I would say, just having that teachable spirit of seeking wisdom from older couples, wiser people, godly people, people that you know and you respect, has definitely helped us in many ways when we've argued about it and we can't see eye to eye with different things. I said that, and just invest in each other. I guess have time together. I would say,
and then for me, it's learn to say I feel rather than you do. So when you've been hurt by them, just share it with I feel this. This has happened to me, and rather than in a vindictive way and in a blaming way. So,
Amazing. I heard that recently. So it's more like you're hammering it to say, when you're addressing your spouse or what they've done, instead of saying you did this, this is how I feel about what you did. So I think perspective, or the attitude or the way you present the issue is what helps in communication. No matter how big the trouble is, but when you present it in that way, it makes the person to see, oh, this is how you felt about it. Yes, I didn't have a control. I'm sorry you felt that way, but this is not how I meant it. It just helps to make communication better. Right. I've gleaned a lot. I liked David mentioned something. Acceptance. accepting the person just like they are, because you can never change a grown adult. Your partner can't be like you. I can see too many, and fortunately or coincidentally, I see a lot of similarities between you and I, Hannah, and then David and my husband. Somehow, because I'm the person you will see that, oh, I'm always talking, just like you said, you feed everybody in your group every week. I can make instant decisions and just say, just with the excitement and spur of the moment. Oh, and then when we get back, you say, how do you want? By the time he gives the practicalities, I'll say, oh, I didn't think that way, Oh, we are so
Very
blessed
much
to have
so.
them in our lives. Just like I'm sure that everyone has been in this life or going to catch this replay will be blessed by your story. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you for
coming
having
to
us.
share your
You're very
marriage
welcome.
journey with us. It's been a pleasure listening to you, and I've been impacted. I've mentioned things in my mind. I'm going to run to my husband to say, oh, let's do this. And that's one thing about marriage, not how long or how recent your marriage has been. Every single successful day in your marriage is a successful journey and should be celebrated. So please celebrate yourselves.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. We really
Thank you so
appreciate it.
much.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for
Thank you,
having
David and Hannah. You've been a
All
blessing,
right.
and I'm so blessed to have you guys in my corner. Thank you for coming here to share your story with us.
me. Thank you.
It's amazing. All right. I'll let you go now and I'll just close the session. Thank
Sure.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
All right. Bye. Yay, YouTube fam. Thank you so much for listening. Sorry it took a long time. I was just enjoying the story by David and Hannah. Thank you for coming on this live. Remember, we're on the seasons of marriage. And what are those? The spring, the summer, the autumn, and the winter. And we are almost done, and it's going to be December. If you haven't subscribed on this channel, please consider doing so. Here we talk about marriage, about family, and about relationships. And thank you for watching this video. I'll see you on the next one. I post videos at least 2 to 3 times a week. And I'm so excited about this journey. So get on board with me. Click that subscribe button. And till the next video, I'll see you again. Thank you for watching.